it's my great honor to be here with you this afternoon, and I'm coming from Prague, and I would just like to share with you a short video in the beginning. It's about 5 minutes, and it will be a little bit exotic maybe, because it's from Nepal, and it's all about the humanitarian service I do for Nepal, Pakistan, and other countries. So I would just like to show you the short video, and then we can just go on, we'll share some more ideas. So it's a great privilege for me just to be here with you. And I studied ethnology in Prague, but I interrupted my studies, and I had an opportunity to go to Nepal and to India and spend some time. And I developed a great love for this part of the world. And since then, I'm all the time in touch with Nepalese and Indians and other people from this region. And I'm just trying to help this region or serve this region as much as I can, and on the basis of humanitarian service. So when you are there, you see that people living in these regions, they live a poor life on one hand, but on the other hand, they have something very precious in themselves, and there is something you can learn from them. So actually, the beginning of my idea was that I felt like I would like to be of service to them. But by coming to Nepal, I actually realized they can be of service to me. Because I was able to learn a lot of things from their own lives and from their own simplicity. So when you spend some time with ethnic groups which live in Nepal, I mean, Nepal is very rich. They have about like 75 ethnic groups. It's one of the richest small countries in the world with such a variety of different ethnic groups. And most of the people, they know Sherpas, but there are many more groups like that. And some of them, they are not native from Nepal, but they actually come from Tibet. They all come from eastern Tibet, and they just migrated from Tibet over the mountains, and they made their own settlements in so-called Solokhumbu in about 16th century. And they do not have a grammar. They only have a spoken word. So in all the ethnic groups, they just speak different languages, and sometimes they do not understand each other. Little bit the same thing, the same situation like people in India. So when you travel in India to different states of India, so you have to use English language, because this is the only language they really do understand. Because when you are in Gujarat, or when you are in Kerala or in some other states, they all speak different languages, Tamil or Gujarati or Marathi or this and that. So they have to use English language. And actually that's why they are a little bit grateful to England, to Great Britain, for these long years of occupation of India. So they actually brought them a language, and they helped them to actually unite them together in a way. So Nepal is about the same. There is a very similar situation. And so when you are with this community of people, they live a very simple life. So many of them, they still do not have electricity. There is not a very strong infrastructure. The country basically do not have heavy industry. People are very much into a rural way of life. And so when you spend some time with them, you see the simplicity of life. You see how much they are still connected with the nature cycles. And then you see also that you have a good you see how different lifestyle we live. Like how different lifestyle we live in Europe, in Western civilization, and what kind of lifestyle they live, let's say in Nepal, India, Pakistan, Tibet, all these regions. From our point of view, we think that they are very poor, or maybe they are not developed, they are very backward countries in a way. But on the other hand, there is something which we are a little bit missing. And what they have is a certain feeling of security in their own lives. Even what you just have seen was the big earthquake in Nepal in 2015. And Nepal was struck in between Pokhara and Kathmandu, and many of the settlements were completely ruined. And people, they don't have much. If they lose a house, this is the only thing they have. They don't have any other savings. But somehow they take it very calmly. They just do not feel they lost a fortune. They just take it in a calm way, in a peaceful way, because they know that the life itself comes and goes. They know that everything is perishable. They know that, if we possess something and we want to, be the owners of something, we just create a certain, bond of desire that we want to possess our house or our car or a human being even. And sometimes when you possess so many things, then sometimes we are afraid that maybe one day we might lose it. And this is the situation we all have, like in the Western civilization. We think that our society is very much developed, that concerning the technical scale, we have advanced technologically on a big scale. But on the other hand, we're a little bit lost, like something. We lost a little bit trust. We lost faith. We lost faith in ourselves. Sometimes when I look and when I just try to compare the Eastern and the Western way of life, then you see that we a little bit lost the faith inside that somehow we can listen more to ourselves. And we can also learn how to listen more to other people. And this is what I'm actually learning from them, from the Eastern cultures. So this is what they have in their own culture. They try to listen to themselves, not only to their own minds, but somehow they try to listen to themselves in silence. And they call it meditation, they call it contemplation, they call it like a kind of self-reflection. They are trying to reflect what's happening inside them. And this feeling, this simple feeling, this self-reflection gives them like power and peace and security. So even if they lose everything, they out of a sudden, within a second, they have nothing. They have just like a piece of plain land because everything was crashed. But they don't lose a temper. They do not lose faith. They are not, they are not panicking. They are not in a big stress because they know that maybe in a week time, in 2 weeks time, they will just build a new house. And then in the new house, maybe they will be in there like for 1 or 2 or 3 more years, and maybe another disaster will come. So they are used to it. So it's very fascinating that their own tradition, most of the time, they are Buddhist. In Nepal, there is a very strong Hindu culture. Mainly there is a very strong, Hindu culture, and there is a very strong Buddhist influence, especially because of Tibetans. They live in Kathmandu very much, and also in North India, in Dharamsala, where Dalai Lama currently lives. And this kind of spiritual, we can say this kind of spiritual security and peace, gives them something. What is fascinating, because when you look at them, when you spend time with them, they always seems to be happy. They somehow seems to be all the time smiling, unhappy, and at the same time very humble. So when they meet you, they just fold their hands, they just bow down and say namaste, namaste. So they somehow respect other human beings, maybe much more than we are used to respect other cultures or other human beings. So whenever I just go to the East, I'm always very, very much moved how people are just able to respect you, respect your own way of life, respect your own culture, and I just admire their own humility. And I think this is something we can very much learn from them. And if we just are able just to learn from other cultures much more, then I think we can create a better and harmonious society. But the harmony we are just looking for always starts within. It always starts in each individual life. So if we are not in peace with ourselves, if we do not live ourselves a harmonious life, if we are all the time in pressure, in tension, if we are all the time in stress, and if we have a big overwork load on our shoulders, then somehow we don't feel this harmonious state of living. And according to the philosophy of Indians and Nepalese and Buddhists or Hindus, so they always say that everything starts in your own mind. So if you are able to have peace in your own mind, if you are able just to calm down your thoughts, if you are able just to become an observer, they call it like to be a witness or an observer, that out of a sudden you just try to observe yourself. Because very often we just use our intellect, we just use our thinking, and we just try to find out the truth mentally, by thinking in an intellectual way. But they are trying in a different way. They are just trying to calm down the intellectual mind, and that they just try to feel that when they are silent, then there is something inside which comes to the fore. So when you succeed to, to silence your busy mind, then after some time you start to feel that you have something inside your heart which speaks to you. It's like an impulse, or you can call it an inner voice, or you can call it an energy, you can call it a light, you can call it something. You know that inside of you there is a mysterious feeling which is guiding you actually, which is just able just to tell you what to do or what to say or where to go. So, and this is the privilege they are able just to listen more to this inner guidance. And from this inner guidance, they just receive this tremendous feeling of security and happiness at the same time. Yes? Yeah. Okay, fine. So this was just my humble contribution that I think it's very useful for every human being just to have a moment of silence in their own lives. So it's always useful if you are able just 4 or 5 minutes in a day just to stay, in yourself, in your own silence, and try to observe what is happening inside you. And it will help you to recuperate your inner strength and power and inspiration. So I thank you for your patience and and understanding, and thank you very much again.
That we have some questions.
Oh yes, so we have question. Are you trying to say that meditation can help us in daily life?
I've been practicing myself yoga and meditation for 25 years, and I have to say I do practice every day in the morning and in the evening before I go to my work. And it always helps. It always helps to require, a feeling of peace and a feeling of energy inside you. And then when you are able just to feel it inside you, then you just are able to spread it a little bit out around yourself, because we can influence people, whatever we do, at school, at hospital, at your company. So we just have each of us have a big impact on the society. And if we are in a good, harmonious state of living, then we can spread this harmonious feeling around ourselves.
Question? I have one, because I saw in your presentation many pictures, and those are kids from Nepal and from Czech Republic, Czechia actually.
Yes, yeah.
I forgot that you're Czechia now. And can you tell us the connection between those pictures? There is some some organization which connect children from the Czechia.
Right, exactly. So there is it's a humanitarian service. It's an organization which is connecting Czech children with children elsewhere. So usually when there is a disaster or earthquake or a flood somewhere, it can be Indonesia, Pakistan, Nepal, India, Caribbean. So we are just trying to contact different companies, contact different schools, and especially we are just trying to encourage small children to prepare small packages, with toothpaste or a towel or a toy or something, which we just pack up to a container, and we ship the big container from Czech Republic all over to those stricken areas, and we just go there personally and just hand out all these humanitarian gifts to the children, who maybe sometimes lost their parents, they lost everything, they are only 7 years old, and they are now on an open field. So this is a good feeling when you can do something, and a smile on the face of a small kid who lost their parents, who lost everything, and you can do a little bit, something for him, then it's a very rewarding feeling.
And last question.
Professor.
Also, here we see Mother Teresa. Is she somehow connected with this idea?
Yeah, Mother Teresa, she's our example, because she was doing a great work herself, and she founded the mission of nuns in Calcutta, and I visited a few times her mission in Calcutta, and we organized a couple of humanitarian services for the sisters of Mother Teresa in India. And when you are in India, you see many children just in the streets of Calcutta, which is huge, and they are just poverty-stricken people. So, and they also, the sisters from the missionaries of Mother Teresa, they just serve, you know, their own countrymen with food on a regular basis, like 2 times a day. They just serve food to the poor and needy people. So we are connected together because we do, you know, very similar service.
Professor?
Thank you very much for your excellent explanation that cultural phenomena from one concrete place of our planet can have a transcultural meaning, transcultural value, or even, I suppose, maybe universal meaning and value. Today we met with this in the morning in Professor Kotzur's presentation, in Professor Kotzur's speech. Mm-hmm. He is absent now, it's a pity. Mm-hmm. Maybe your presentation will be very interesting for him. He is also trying to explain that particular cultural phenomena can have, in the theater example, can have universal values, universal transcultural power. Mm-hmm. In the theater example.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, thank you very much.